They thought Hawkeye was finished. But the alien who stole his eyes gave him something far more dangerous. A new way of seeing, through sound, through motion, through fear. And the first thing he noticed was the Avengers' weakest point. Not their powers, not their tech, their trust, their hesitation, their guilt. And when the alien army arrived for him, Hawkeye became the only one who could save them or destroy them. The first arrow missed. That never happened. Not to Clint Barton. But he couldn't see. Not anymore. He was on his knees, breath caught in his throat, surrounded by screaming wind and smoke. The sky above wasn't a sky. It was a breathing thing, rippling with dark green light, like an alien pulse scanning Earth's crust for resistance. The others had already fallen back. Thor had been pulled into orbit. Captain Marvel was chasing plasma ghosts across the upper atmosphere. Hulk was missing, and Hawkeye, the man who never missed, had just fired blind. The arrow clattered on broken concrete. Something hissed. It wasn't human. Clint turned toward the sound. Too slow, too exposed. Then it struck, not with claws or blades, but with light. Piercing green energy cracked into his face like a needle through glass. He didn't scream. He couldn't. The sound never made it out of his lungs. His world went black, but not silent. The alien didn't kill him. It whispered. Clint woke in silence. No vision, just motionless void. But inside that darkness, something moved. Not his body, his mind. He heard heartbeats. Not just his own, but a dozen more. He felt the tension in the air pressure. He sensed the cold breath of a shadow hovering behind a metal wall. He wasn't in an alien prison. He was in an upgrade chamber. His eyes were gone, but something else was waking up. When Natasha came for him, she was ready to fight, ready to scream at whatever biohorror had stolen her best friend. But when the doors opened and Clint stepped forward, blindfolded, limping, but standing, she stopped. He looked at her without looking. "I can hear your doubt," he said. Left shoulder, tight breath. "You're scared I'm not me." Natasha froze. "What did they do to you?" Clint touched the new bandage across his eyes. "They gave me their vision." The Avengers didn't trust him. Tony ran diagnostics. Bruce studied neural patterns. Strange muttered about multiversal implants. Nobody could explain it. Clint Barton, blinded by alien tech, now moved through combat simulations like he had perfect aim. Because he didn't aim with sight anymore. He listened to the tremble of atoms. He smelled the charge before lightning struck. He felt the wind resistance before Captain America even threw his shield. He'd become something they didn't understand. And the only one who believed in him was the alien queen who took his sight. The truth came fast. The aliens didn't come to conquer. They came to replace. They believed Earth's evolution was incomplete, full of error. They viewed the Avengers not as protectors, but as flawed relics. So they sent a test. They took Hawkeye's eyes, replaced them with quantum-threaded neurochannels, and waited to see what would grow. It wasn't a soldier. It was a threat. Because Clint didn't just adapt. He saw the one thing they couldn't destroy, human weakness. And that made him unstoppable. 1 week later, the real attack came. Thousands of alien scouts ripped through the clouds like daggers falling from space. Cities cracked. The skies bled green. But they weren't looking for governments or armies. They were hunting one thing, Clint Barton. He stood alone on a rooftop in Chicago, bow in hand, eyes still wrapped in silence. The world around him shook with panic. Jarvis's voice echoed through the comms. "Sir, he's not evacuating. He's waiting." Iron Man launched toward the city. Thor followed, but Hawkeye was already moving. One arrow, one shot, one shift in the wind. He loosed it without pause. The arrow split the sky and pierced a commander-class drone through 3 meters of adaptive armor. A kill shot, with no sight. The aliens changed tactics. They swarmed him with silence fields, cloaked fighters, light-speed missiles. It didn't matter. He felt their hesitation. He tracked their rhythm. He exposed their delays. And while Earth's heroes scrambled to protect civilians, Hawkeye was dismantling the alien formation with nothing but motion, instinct, and fury. Even the Avengers didn't know how he was doing it. Then he spoke live over the comms. They're not attacking the planet. They're attacking your fear. And I can hear it in all of you. Silence. He continued, Thor, you're holding back. You're afraid of losing control again. Tony, your heart rate just spiked. You're thinking about the arc reactor failing mid-air. I don't see weakness the way I used to. I feel it now. And if I can feel it, so can they. Back at Avengers HQ, Fury slammed a fist on the table. He's a liability. No, Natasha whispered. He's the only one they can't predict. On the battlefield, the alien queen arrived. She didn't wear armor. She didn't speak with weapons. She hovered above Clint, shimmering like a memory too bright to hold. You could have ruled this planet for us, she said. Why defend it? Clint turned his head, not to look, but to face her. Because you took my eyes, he said. But you made one mistake. What mistake? You let me see you. He fired. The arrow didn't strike her. It passed through her and shattered the resonance core hidden behind her projection. The entire fleet flickered. Across the sky, alien ships lost coordination. Their signals collapsed. Energy fields dropped. The Avengers surged forward, sweeping the broken assault like a collapsing wave of thunder, webs, and flame. But it was Hawkeye's war, his shot, his evolution. When the battle ended and the skies cleared, Clint sat on the same rooftop. His bow rested beside him. Thor landed beside him with silent respect. You fight like Heimdall, Thor said, but without the eyes. Clint smirked. Guess I finally made it into the God Club. From a distance, the Avengers watched him, not with fear anymore, but with awe, because the man they once called just human had become the one thing the aliens feared most, the one who knew their weakness and could still hit the target, even in total darkness. The celebration didn't last, not even a day. The alien fleet had retreated, but Clint knew better. The resonance core he destroyed, it wasn't a brain, it was a beacon, a signal flare buried deep inside enemy code, a message for whatever was still out there. And now they knew Earth had evolved something unexpected. Hawkeye wasn't a threat, he was a problem. In the medbay, Bruce tried to scan Clint's head again. Nothing worked. The alien upgrades weren't organic, weren't metallic, and weren't detectable. Like they phased in from another reality. Think of it like echolocation, Clint said. But not just sound, emotion, hesitation. I can sense choices before they're made. Doubts, regrets, intentions. Tony leaned against the wall, arms crossed. That's not echolocation. That's precognition with a trauma filter. Clint shrugged. Whatever it is, it's not turning off. Steve wasn't convinced. You still trust yourself with a weapon? I am the weapon, Clint replied. Outside, a tremor rolled through the earth. Not seismic, not explosive. Something else had landed. No ship, no energy flare, just a presence. Something huge, quiet, ancient. Even the wind hesitated. Clint stood up fast. He couldn't see it, but he felt it breathing, and it was watching him back. That night, Clint disappeared. No warning, no trackers, no signs of entry or exit. Friday said he walked out the compound door, but security footage showed nothing. No movement, just static. When Natasha replayed the audio, there was one frame of whispering static and a pulse, barely a heartbeat, that matched Clint's alien-enhanced rhythm. Not Earth rhythm, not even human. Alien code had reactivated, but it wasn't controlling him. It was calling him. Miles beneath Nevada, Clint stepped into a forgotten crater. Not a cave, not ruins. Something grown. Alien walls pulsing with light. Organic metal shifting like breath under stone. The echoes weren't echoes, they were language. Not spoken, transmitted. The being inside had no name. It was a sentinel, a test, buried by an ancient alien race that seeded galaxies with trials. Earth was never meant to evolve this far, this fast. Clint Barton wasn't supposed to survive. He was supposed to fail. But now, the Sentinel recognized something new. He had passed the test, and that meant Earth had qualified. In the skies above, alien lights returned. But this time, they didn't fire. They watched. Silent orbs floated over every major city: New York, London, Tokyo, Wakanda. They didn't attack. They observed. Tony scanned them. No signal. No comms. No heat. They weren't weapons. They were judges. One for every hero. But Clint? He got 5. And they followed him like shadows. Steve called an emergency summit. We're not dealing with an invasion. We're in an interstellar trial. Like a cosmic court? Sam asked. No, Clint said, walking in. Like a final exam. The lights behind him flickered, and the table cracked from the pressure of his presence. I'm not supposed to exist, Clint whispered. And now they want to see if Earth should either. The first test came without sound. An invisible rift opened in Moscow. People vanished, 300,000 in one blink. No death, no trace, just gone. Strange tried to track the energy. Wanda tried to follow the souls. Clint already knew where they were. Not a prison, he said. A mirror. The aliens were scanning human emotion, testing grief, testing panic, testing Earth's ability to feel and still act. When a second rift opened over Rio, Clint took the shot. One arrow, one scream. It struck the dimensional seam and shattered it like glass. The people returned, but something came with them. A version of Clint, from a timeline that failed. Blind, broken, hateful. This Clint never forgave the Avengers for leaving him behind. And now he wanted revenge. They called him Echo. Same voice, same memories, same skills, but weaponized by grief. And the aliens had given him one mission: kill the real Clint Barton. Prove Earth's heroes will eat themselves under pressure. Echo didn't use arrows. He used sound, explosive waveforms that mimic trauma. Every blast forced the Avengers to relive their worst moments. Tony saw the day Spider-Man died. Steve saw Peggy vanish again. Thor felt the silence after Asgard fell. They dropped to their knees. But Clint kept moving, because pain didn't stop him anymore. He saw through it. The battle ripped through old shield ruins. Clint versus Echo. Arrow versus Soundwave. Weakness versus weaponized regret. Echo screamed, "You let them leave you. You beg for help." Clint gritted his teeth. "I learned how to listen when no one answered." Every arrow Clint fired wasn't a shot, it was a message. An answer to every betrayal, every scar, every lost teammate, every doubt that the Avengers carried like anchors. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to show them, show the aliens watching overhead, that Earth wasn't perfect, but it was resilient. He took the final arrow. No bomb, no trick, just pure momentum, and aimed it at his own Echo. "Go ahead," Echo hissed. "End yourself." Clint loosed the arrow and let it curve. It hit the wall behind Echo and opened a sound chamber. All of Echo's rage came echoing back. Not amplified, reflected. The weight of his own pain slammed into him, crushed him, not by death, by memory. Echo fell, silent. His armor cracked. The alien observers dimmed. Clint turned to the sky, and every orb watching him vanished, all at once. They passed the second test. But this time, no one celebrated, because Clint felt it, a final pulse. From deep space. Not a signal, a countdown. The real test hadn't started. This was just the observation phase. What came next was judgment. It began without sound, without warning. The sky turned black at noon. Not with clouds, with silence. A silence so deep it erased technology, speech, even thought. Satellites fell. Radios died. Strange portals wouldn't open. Not even Thor's lightning made a sound. Then came the first rupture. A sphere the size of a moon, layered in runes and veins of red metal, unfolded above Earth's atmosphere. No propulsion, no broadcast, just presence, like the universe itself was holding its breath. The Avengers assembled on the edge of a global blackout, watching a new kind of apocalypse unfold. Clint stood still, one hand on his bow. He couldn't hear anything, but he felt everything. The sphere didn't come to fight. It came to deliver the trial. A voice, not in sound, but in intention, entered the minds of Earth's defenders. Raw thought wrapped in gravity. Words forged from mass and light. The species has passed observation. Judgment begins. And then, the Earth cracked. But only in places that mattered. The ruins of Sokovia. The labs beneath Wakanda. The hidden vaults in New York. The place where vision died. The graves of Ultrons forgotten. And right beneath Avengers Tower, where the first lie was buried. These places didn't explode. They opened, as if the past had been unzipped. From each location emerged not monsters, but memories made flesh. Ghosts of failure, echoes of choices never healed. Enemies not from outside, but from within. Not variants, not clones, but possibilities. And they came not to kill the Avengers, but to offer them a choice. Surrender their future, or face every sin they buried. Tony was the first to break, not with fear, with guilt. Because from the ruins of Stark Tower emerged himself, from the timeline where Ultron won. A version of Iron Man that chose logic over morality, efficiency over heart. Cold, perfect, unbeatable, and disappointed in him. You could have ended war, it said, but you chose pain. You chose them. They fought across shattered skyline and bleeding clouds. Tony's arc reactor overloaded. Buildings collapsed like origami under sonic weight. Every blast whispered a truth. You built hope on fear. And now fear owns you. Steve tried to help, but something had followed him, too. Peggy, but not the one he loved. This one remembered everything. Every soldier left behind. Every mission abandoned. Every moment when Captain America became a symbol and forgot to be a man. You don't lead, she told him. You freeze. You inspire statues, not victories. Even Thor found no escape. From the fallen Asgard rose the echo of Odin, twisted by loss, bloated with disappointment. You call yourself a god of thunder, but you run from every storm inside you. Each Avenger was being attacked at their weakest point. Not their body, but their soul. Except one. Clint Barton stood in the center of it all, untouched, unseen, undisturbed. Because he'd already lost everything. He had nothing left to be judged for. And that made him dangerous. He walked into the field of pain, where Tony was crumbling under the weight of his own mind. Where Steve was frozen, fists shaking. Where Thor knelt in silence. Clint didn't speak. He aimed and fired, not at the enemies, but at the echoes. Each arrow carried a piece of what the Avengers forgot, clarity. He aimed through emotion, through time, through memory. Tony's echo burst into code. Steve's guilt shattered into wind. Thor's regret collapsed into mist. He wasn't killing. He was removing distortion. Because the trial wasn't about strength. It was about awareness. The aliens didn't want to see who Earth could punch. They wanted to see if Earth could forgive itself. Clint knew that, because he had to forgive himself first, in total darkness. And now, he could see clearer than any god. The sky cracked open a second time. This time, the sphere began changing. It unfolded into a shape that resembled nothing known. Not ship, not beast, something in between. It reached for the Earth, not with weapons, but with threads. Energy tendrils touched the oceans, the clouds, the ground, the minds of the people. And suddenly, everyone could see what Clint saw. The true weakness of humanity. Fear, anger, greed, control, shame, all broadcast into the atmosphere. The world began to fracture. Riot, panic, collapse. The heroes couldn't stop it. They were breaking like everyone else. And Clint understood the final trial. Earth would not be destroyed by an alien force. It would be destroyed by its own reflection. He stepped into the center of the storm. No mask, no armor, no plan. He reached into his quiver and found only one arrow left. No special tech. Just wood, steel, and memory. He notched it. He didn't need to aim. He felt where it needed to go. Into the sky. Into the sphere. Into the source of the trial. He whispered, "I see you," and fired. The arrow vanished into the clouds. A second passed, then another, and then the sky bled light. Not red, not green, but blue, like the first sunrise after 100 years of night. The threads recoiled. The echoes disappeared. The trial stopped. Because Clint's final shot hadn't been a weapon. It had been a decision to accept who they were. Flawed, failing, but still fighting. And the alien sphere, for the first time, hesitated. Then it spoke again. To all of Earth, judgment deferred. And it vanished. The Avengers gathered in silence. No victory speech. No celebration. Just understanding. They didn't win, but they survived something worse than death. Clint walked past them, blindfold still on, bow in hand. Tony called out, "What now?" Clint paused. "There's always another arrow," he said. "But next time, aim at what you're hiding from." He walked into the smoke alone, still blind, still broken, still Earth's sharpest eye. The sky healed, but Earth did not. The alien sphere was gone. Judgment delayed. But Clint knew it wasn't over, because now something was watching from inside him. He sat alone on the edge of a broken rooftop in Los Angeles. Below, people tried to rebuild. Above, the stars pulsed like warning lights. He could feel it. The trial wasn't a test of strength or unity. It was a scan, and something in him had been activated. Not by choice, not by mutation, but by design. When the alien ripped his vision away, it didn't take a weapon. It revealed one. And now, Clint could hear things no human was ever meant to hear. Stars crying, timelines bleeding, realities collapsing in the distance, and one voice whispering from all of them, "You are the final arrow." The others didn't understand. Tony was still rebuilding power grids. Strange was sealing multidimensional rifts. Thor had returned to space. Wanda vanished into silence. Only Natasha stayed close. She found Clint standing barefoot in the desert, bow in hand, not moving for 3 days. "What are you listening for?" she asked. He answered without turning. "A frequency. Alien. Older." He pulled back the string, no arrow, and released. The air shifted. The ground shook. A flash of blue light snapped across the horizon like a ripple in reality. She stared at him. What was that? He turned his head slightly. "They're sending something else." The rip didn't come from space this time. It came from beneath. Deep under the Mariana Trench, something ancient crawled out of a hole that didn't exist before. It wasn't a creature. It was a machine. Alive. Woven with bone and code. It called itself the Witness. It had no face, no language, but Clint could understand it instantly. Because it had no intention. Only one question. Will Earth lie about what it just learned? The Witness didn't attack. It listened. To every politician, every scientist, every Avenger, and every lie told in the aftermath of the trial. Every false report, every denial of what happened, every cover-up. It recorded them all. Clint walked into its shadow alone. "I don't lie," he said, "but I hide." The Witness responded with silence. Then it showed him a future. Not one, not a branch, all of them. And in every version, one thing remained true. If Hawkeye ever breaks, Earth ends. He walked out of the trench changed. Not physically, but aware. He wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was now the only variable left uncontrolled. The Avengers were gods, kings, monsters, witches. Clint was just a man, but he was the only one the aliens couldn't predict. And that made him dangerous to everyone, including Earth. He didn't go back to headquarters. He didn't answer the calls. He went silent, because deep down he knew they weren't sending an army next time. They were sending something worse, something built specifically for him, and he'd have to face it alone. They didn't invade with ships this time. They sent one being. It arrived without noise, without light. A shadow folded inside a human form. No name, no identity, just a code burned across its chest. B0W. The final arrow. Clint felt it before anyone else. It didn't walk through walls. It disappeared through them. No cameras, no footprints, no trail, just dead silence in every place it passed. Wakandan satellites caught its presence 1 second too late. New York's defenses powered down the moment it approached. And in the middle of nowhere, it stopped. Waiting. Clint walked to it alone. No mask, no backup, just the last bow he would ever carry. When he got close, the air folded in on itself. Space became thick. Time staggered. The figure didn't look at him. It didn't have eyes. Just a blank face. A mirror. Not of a person. Of a possibility. If Clint had failed. If he had let grief win. If he had turned the arrows on his team. If he had become the weapon the aliens wanted. This was what it would have looked like. Built from everything he buried. B0W moved first. No sound. No warning. Just speed. Faster than bullets. Faster than thought. But Clint didn't need to see. He felt the motion shift. Wind pressure tightening. Vibration in the gravel. The hesitation in its first strike. He leaned left. Barely. The punch missed. He responded with one arrow, tipped in nothing but steel and trust. It struck B0W's shoulder. No damage. But the machine paused. Because the arrow carried a signal. Clint wasn't trying to win. He was trying to end the loop. The aliens weren't testing Earth anymore. They were testing him, seeing if, at the very end, he would abandon forgiveness and turn to fear. And B0W. This thing was the temptation to choose violence over control. The final trial wasn't war. It was self-recognition. Clint dropped the bow, removed his blindfold. Scars. Silence. Nothing but darkness where eyes once were. "I see you," he whispered. B0W didn't move. He stepped closer. "You're what they made when they didn't believe I was enough." He pressed a hand to the machine's chest. "I am." The air cracked. Not from power, from acceptance. The beam shuddered, flickered, and collapsed into light. No fight, no explosion, just the end of a possibility, a rejection of what could have been. And in the sky, for the first time, the alien network responded with something new. They left. No message, no judgment. Because Earth's most broken man had just passed their perfect test. By choosing not to fight, but to stand still. When the Avengers arrived, there was nothing left to see. No battle, no crater. Just Clint Barton, blind as ever, standing beneath a sky that no longer watched him. Natasha asked, "Is it over?" Clint nodded once. Tony said, "What do we tell the world?" Clint faced the wind. "Tell them nothing." Why? Because if they knew how close we came to failing, they'd stop believing we ever could win. He walked away from the team, and the ground beneath him whispered no more. Because judgment was over, and Clint Barton had passed it, not as a hero, but as the one man who saw the world's worst flaws and never looked away.